I want to, without further ado, introduce our first speaker. We don't really need to introduce Roger to us, those of us who know Milton Keynes well. He came in the 70s as a community development worker, those glorious times when money poured out of the corporation. And he has contributed hugely to this city with his development of oral history through Living Archive, an organisation we all treasure hugely, which has brought young and old together to share their memories and created our own sense of heritage. So you looked back in 1985, you looked forward in 85, 95, I'm losing my script here. In 95 you looked forward to the vision of Milton Keynes. Now he's going to give us his insights on where we've got to. Thank you, Roger.
Yeah, a little bit of background for what you're going to see. In February 1995, in preparation for the new unitary authority, there was a conference held called 2020 Vision. And Michael Murray, who was then the Chief Executive of the Borough Council, and Laura McGilvery, who was the Head of Community Development, commissioned me, of all people, to crystal ball gaze and imagine what life might be like in Milton Keynes in 2020. I'm not a futurologist, so I went and sort of talked to a lot of people who I had a lot of respect for to sort of pick their brains. But what you're about to see was my own responsibility. It's 20 years old. There's still 5 years to go. It's 20 years old, and you might titter at some of the things that you will be seeing in a minute. However, you've got to remember that in 1995, Milton Keynes Theatre, for example, was still 4 years away. And Milton Keynes Dons didn't play their first game until 2003. As I say, it's 20 years old. There's still 5 years to go. So a lot of things that are in there, they might still happen. As you will see, it does put quite a lot of pressure on, for example, Pete Winkleman and Carl Robinson. I said one of the key messages that comes through this was that the way in which the vision would be achieved would be through the council working in a really cooperative way with its citizens and with local organisations, local businesses. Now, I feel that has not, necessarily happened to the extent that I would have hoped it would have done over that time. But this dream of this wish by all the political parties to have a cooperative council does give us great opportunities. Say we can achieve a lot in the next 5 years. I make no apology for the fact that the vision is incredibly optimistic and ambitious, because it's a vision, and visions need to be ambitious. David Locke introduced me a few years ago to this quote by Daniel Burnham, who was the co-author of the 1909 Chicago Plan, and apparently Fred Lloyd Roach, General Manager of the Development Corporation, also used to quote it a lot, and I think it's very pertinent to today. He said, "Make no little plans. They have no magic to stir men's blood, and probably themselves will not be realised. Make big plans. Aim high in hope and work, remembering that a noble logical diagram, once recorded, will never die, but long after we are gone, will be a living thing, asserting itself with ever-growing insistency." And I'm hoping that the vision, any vision that comes out from Milton Keynes in 2040 will make big plans and aim very high. Anyway, let's see what I thought 20 years ago Milton Keynes would be like in 5 years' time.
This is George and Doris Bristow. They moved from London to the new estate of Galley Hill in 1973. Back in 1973, there was more mud than roads, and there was no Milton Keynes Borough Council.
Over the past 22 years, the Bristow family has seen great changes, and most have delighted them. They think they're lucky with the shopping facilities, the hospital and the leisure facilities. The children have enjoyed being taught in brand new schools. There have been better job opportunities for George and Brian than there would have been if they'd stayed in London, and they've watched the landscaping mature.
But there are concerns. Public transport is still not very good. There seems to be a shortage of job opportunities and hope for school leavers. And maybe it's that is leading to the increase in crime. Certainly George and Doris have a greater fear of crime than when they first arrived.
In these 22 years, there have been changes in the Bristow family too. They are great-grandparents now, for Brian's daughter Natalie has given birth to Kelsey and David. What does the future of Milton Keynes hold for young Kelsey and David and the rest of the Bristow family?
Welcome to the year 2020.
This is Milton Keynes. It has a multi-ethnic population of more than 250,000 people, and the majority of them were born here. It is the biggest city between London and Birmingham and has direct rail link to the Channel Tunnel and the capitals of Europe. This is a city of trees, where the summer foliage hides even the tallest buildings from view.
Welcome to a city that is successful because its leaders in the last years of the 20th century listened to the wishes of the local population, identified the opportunities and threats that the future held, and built partnerships that empowered organisations and individuals throughout the city to work together to achieve the best possible future for Milton Keynes and its residents.
Getting it right has been like fitting the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle together. Each piece is essential, relates to the others, and you only get the full picture when all of the pieces are in place alongside each other.
The frenetic pace of development that George and Doris Bristow witnessed in their first years of life in Milton Keynes was slowing in the 1990s. The original plan for the new city area was completed, but the city continues to grow. The rural area and its towns and villages are still distinct, although both Olney and Newport Pagnell have been sensitively increased.
The age profile of Milton Keynes in 2020 is now much more similar to the rest of Britain. There are now proportionately many more old people, like George and Doris and their son Brian, who is now an old age pensioner too. Housing is available for rent and for sale for every type of household. But many of the 1970s estates have been refurbished or rebuilt. Netherfield now looks more like the Regency terraces that the original architects aspired to. Redevelopment offered the opportunity to increase the density of housing near main public transport arteries.
However, there are still no skyscrapers on the skyline, but there is a new chimney in Wolverton. Milton Keynes is still at the forefront of materials recycling. The chimney belongs to one of the city's combined heat and power plants, supplying electricity to houses and businesses in the surrounding area, in this case made from energy derived from burning dry waste. It all stems from the 1992 Rio Earth Summit and the National Strategy for Sustainable Development that resulted from that.
The trams that now run along the city's main arteries in what were the grid road reservations are a result of Rio 2. The dream of an easily available, accessible, reliable and affordable public transport system has become a reality. The original grid road design has provided a perfect framework to sustain these changes, and the generous landscape and park system has not been violated.
The redways have been extended into the rural areas, widened, improved and better lit. Cyclists, disabled carriages and small low-powered electrical mopeds have joined pedestrians off of the main roads to make Milton Keynes one of the safest cities in the world in which to travel.
Milton Keynes in 2020 has a thriving economy. Until 1998, the CNT had been there to successfully sell the attributes of the area and woo mobile investment. The Milton Keynes Economic Partnership took over this role. but because of the qualities of the environment, the workforce, the schools and the cultural and recreational facilities, and the readily available development sites, it hasn't had too difficult a job to sell the city to relocating businesses. In fact, much of the demand for commercial and industrial sites has come from growth in local businesses, in firms whose young entrepreneurs moved here with their small businesses years before.
Technology in 2020 means that road and rail networks are no longer the major factor in deciding where to locate. One of the great advantages that Milton Keynes has had over its rivals for investment, and what makes it a difficult place to leave, has been the quality of life that it could offer employees and their families. There are libraries and museums, there are opportunities to participate and spectate in a wide range of sports and arts activities. There is a thriving regional theatre, which has recently had an extension built to include a new gallery, cabaret space and larger restaurant facilities.
As befits a large British city, there is a football team which competes in the European Premier League. The canopied Milton Keynes Bowl is the centrepiece for the long-established and renowned Milton Keynes International Music and Dance Festival, which has surpassed Edinburgh as the most exciting festival in Europe. This preeminence was recognised back in 2012, when Milton Keynes was nominated European City of Culture, and the city still offers the best free leisure facility, the network of parks, an unspoilt countryside, the rivers and the canal.
The city centre in 2020 bustles with life at all hours. It has not been easy to achieve this. It was the role that the new local authority took in managing change in the city centre which was crucial. The first two phases in the development of the shopping building had left a large monolithic shopping centre.
By working with the CNT and the public agency that inherited its assets, the authority's local plan for the city centre, approved way back in 1998, encouraged private small developers to build a wide range of shopping, entertainment, residential and workshop spaces. Central Milton Keynes finally got the back streets that makes it such an attractive place today.
Milton Keynes in 2020 is a real city, and that means that it has its share of poverty, unemployment and people in need. If a city is truly judged on how it looks after its most vulnerable, then Milton Keynes is doing well. There are areas which have more than their fair share of problems, but these are the areas which voluntary organisations, local GPs, parish councils and the local authority working in partnership have targeted.
There are one-stop community centres where people can meet, get advice and give mutual support. They are centres too for childcare initiatives, to help single parents and returners to work. With an increasing number of active elderly, there is a vast army of talent helping in schools, giving wise counsel, offering help to those who cannot look after themselves. But all this has only been successful because it has been recognised that the carers need support too.
It's education which is at the heart of the Milton Keynes success story in 2020. It's the centrepiece in the jigsaw, the piece to which all the other parts connect and which crucially affects the look of the total picture. Back in the last years of the 20th century, the new local authority took the crucial steps which have given Milton Keynes the nickname of the City of Lifetime Learning.
In 2020, there is nursery education for all children. It is seen as the essential foundation to all future success. Thanks to the collaboration between schools and their local firms, every primary school child is fully competent and confident with the latest multimedia information technology. At secondary level, vocational and academic achievement are seen as equally important. Indeed, consortiums of firms adopt their local secondary schools and provide advice, equipment and materials and work experience for both pupils and teachers. 75% of post-16 pupils continue on to higher education, many of them at the local university and colleges.
Learning does not stop when people start work. Employers realise that they need employees who are flexible, adaptable and abreast of all the latest developments, so they offer incentives to encourage study both in and out of the workplace. Milton Keynes College and De Montfort University have grown vigorously to respond to this demand.
Learning for pleasure is just as important. There are arts workshops and leisure centres providing opportunities to learn new skills.
The city of lifetime learning that Milton Keynes has become is acknowledged to be at the heart of the city's success. It is the skilled and motivated workforce that has attracted new firms to relocate over the years. The key to the city's success is underlying wealth, and the key to that has been education.
Why does this jigsaw fit together so successfully? It's because it's been an effort in which all the citizens of Milton Keynes have helped to shape the pieces. At the heart of the process has been the local authority. It knows that the only way to get the very best for Milton Keynes for 2020 and into the future is to continue to encourage partnership between itself and key organisations in all sectors of the community, to enable and to empower others to take initiatives.
In 2020, the local authority knows that the success that it enjoys is due in no small measure to the vision of the members of the new unitary authority in the late 20th century, for the decisions that they took in the first 5 years of their life were crucial to the shape and success of Milton Keynes in 2020.
Back in 1973, George and Doris Bristow brought their family here, lured by the opportunity of a better future for them and their children. It was a gamble. The gamble has paid off.
Thank you, Roger. Well, I don't think we've done bad, really. I'm quite proud. Just one quick question I just want to say. If you have one of those sort of powerful mayors of Milton Keynes tomorrow, if we went into that new way of governance, what would be your priority of the things that haven't quite materialised there?
Well, I think, it was the last bit there. I still think that if we can get this attitude that we're all in this together. This is, and I was asked on the telly out there just now about, what about 2040? And it was that people, if the thing is that people got to want to live here, love living here, and feel that they are actually part of it and have helped shape it, as we've been able to do in the past, when we were kind of pioneering, as it were. But that spirit's got to continue, I think.
Absolutely, thank you. Now we're going to get the moment of talk and twittering, so over to Nick.
Right. You've got 90 seconds, starting from now, to gather your thoughts and start issuing some tweets, because we've had some tweets through, and I'll talk about those in a minute, but we could do with a lot more. So get tweeting.
And can I say, if you talk to each other for a second or so next door to each other, you might stimulate some thoughts too. So if you wanted to turn to your neighbours and just say, what was the thing that struck you, that would be great.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for that. We've got some good tweet action going on there. I picked out a few, four key tweets that sum up some of the themes coming through from your views on that first session. The first one's from the @MK2020 Foundation. MK2020_40. Will we continue to innovate when the city is 50? So innovation and the need to keep innovating, a key theme coming through from some of the tweets we've had so far. And I think that's absolutely critical, because we're not going to get the change we want to get in the city. We're not going to be able to grow it. We're not going to be able to change things unless we keep that innovation energy going, the energy that Francesca talked about when she first spoke this afternoon. This is the second one from Tamsin, at Tamsin Rawlings. Accessible, affordable, reliable transport? Don't think so. So work to be done there in terms of the transport infrastructure, the transport network. That's one of the common themes coming through. This one's from at JCO Don. I can't imagine who that is. Even with 5 years to go, Roger Kitchen's video from 1995 is scarily prophetic. Clear where we have or haven't made progress, though. I wonder if you agree with that it's clear where we have or haven't made progress. We'll keep those ideas coming. And we've got one from at MK City Discovery. Amazing how original leaders, visionaries and missionaries of early MK got crucial issues for the future right in this movie. Big tick there. Why not now? So a big challenge for us now. So there's 4 of the tweets I picked out, just picking up some of those themes, the sort of scale of the challenge that we all face to keep that spirit alive, keep that innovation going. And what are the things we've got right? What are the things we've got wrong? Clearly transport featuring. We've got some things coming through here. Stuff here about the business community, still partnering more with the community. So challenge for every sector, I think, of our community. We heard in the film about business and education working more closely together. Is that happening enough? It probably isn't. Regeneration, another theme. Interesting use of photos to illustrate the future. Well, that's true, actually. But that sense of a vision, that sense of sort of missionary capability coming through the film is something that you're all responding well to. I think, yeah, what else we got? Will their children and grandchildren stay? It's great city today. Will it be great in the future? Another one setting out the scale of the challenge. Okay, Francesca.
Just a couple of conversations. We were saying it was great in Roger's vision that education was seen, and education and training is the heart of the whole landscape. And one of the things that is we need to watch is that the partnership message is stronger than the competitive message, because I think one of the troubles, and again, another conversation, that there are certain things imposed now onto our community from the centre of government rather than in the local control. And I would like us to get back to a local vision of what we want our education landscape to look like, so we can encourage, for the sake of young people, a connectivity that actually opens up opportunities. I've always felt with the university that there's a vision of you walk up the street and you turn left to do plumbing and you turn right to do philosophy, and they're both valid. And it was said in there that there would be an equality, equalness between vocational and academic. We are nowhere near that in our society, but it would be a very, very strong development.
And I think Jean sums it up there, Jean Winfield there, all in this together.
Yeah.